me see what time it is. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started, even though it's 6:01, and usually people don't like join until 5 minutes after. But I'm so glad that you're here this evening, and I hope you've had a wonderful day. So I will ask a starting question, which is, what is your favorite thing that happened so far this week? What brought you joy this week? Okay, so the question is, what brought you joy this week? And I will start, since I asked the question. And what brought me joy this week is somebody that's sitting in this room right now. And it's Cammie. Everybody's clapping. So come say hello. Here she comes. So she was a part of the chorus. Scoop down.
Hi, Cammie. I love you.
I love you too.
And she's so beautiful.
Isn't she though? She looks just like me.
Well, she really does.
No, she doesn't.
Yes, she does.
Sit next to me, or you want to sit? We're making a decision. So anyway, so that's who brought me joy. She was in the, what's the name of it last night?
Evening to Shine.
Evening to Shine from Durham Public Schools. And it was a huge, what was it? Performance. And what did you do there?
We sung.
Yeah.
We danced.
Sang and danced.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm wasting time. So that's who brought me joy this weekend today. So Natalia, what brought you joy this week?
You know, a lot of things bring me joy. A lot of things bring me joy. But I guess what brought me joy this week was I got to see I got to see a lot of animals. I visited 2 shelters. Just I wanted to, because dogs and cats make me happy, and I saw the cutest, all the dogs were adorable, and I got to volunteer with my less furry animals. And they really brought me joy. All animals are beautiful and all animals are sweet. From the dog to your hedgehog, which is a new animal that was brought to the rescue that I volunteer at. Yeah, little hedgehog.
Okay.
Yeah, little cute little spine. He was so cute. He was so cute. And yeah, animals bring me a lot of joy. So that was my joy this week.
Great. Kayla, what brought you joy?
Hi, everyone. One thing that brought me joy this week, actually just now, I just got back from doing a Reading Rainbow event at the Boys and Girls Club up the street. It was so fun talking to the kids, and they were so excited, and we got to read to them and play games and stuff. So I really had fun doing that. That was really cool.
That's great. Reading Rainbow used to be a television show. Well, it's way, way back in the day. So okay, I'll leave that there. Brittany McClellan, oh, I've missed you so much. It's good to see you. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing all right. Stop that. My joy of the week is my son feeling better. As you hear me, he's been sick under the weather, and he just started feeling a little bit better. So I'm just glad for that.
How's the baby?
He's doing good. He's growing. He's getting so much bigger. He's 4 months now.
That's so hard to believe. The last time we saw him was in December.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. And Paula, how are you? My prayers are still with you over the loss of your mom. So how are you and your family doing?
They're doing fine. So thank you. A friend of mine sent me a wind chime.
Oh.
And it had all this, it's too long for me to put, but what it says is that when you feel that breeze, think of me, I'm always there. And then it had another little thing where I could put my mom's picture on it. And it was just so beautiful. So I'm buying all of them, all of my brothers and my girls that. But that was just so beautiful. It says, always with you. You know,
Oh, that
you
is
hear the
so
wind
beautiful.
chime. Yes.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. It's good to see you.
Thank you.
Becca, hi, how are you? What's your favorite thing or what brought you joy this week?
Hello, hi Wanda, hi everybody. Hey, I went to the YMCA in downtown Durham on Sunday. The Zumba instructor that I used to work out with in Southern Pines, she with like 10 or 12 other fitness instructors, we went into this place. It was called The Cage. I had never been there before, but we cranked up the music and we exercised in the outdoors for an hour and a half, and it was so fun.
Oh, we're gonna have to talk offline about that.
Yeah, I met a lot of really cool ladies too. So,
Good, 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 good. Very good.
yep, thanks for
Mindy, how about you?
I got to celebrate my 5th grandchild's first birthday, not baby,
Wow,
first
fine.
birthday on Sunday. Yeah, and that was,
Oh, that is amazing.
yeah, it was really
Congratulations.
special. So, and I cut a hyacinth out of my garden.
Oh, yum. They smell so good.
That's the thing. I think everybody should know that fragrance really makes you feel good. And
Yeah.
whether it's perfume or a flower or something you like the smell of, banana bread in the oven.
Uh-oh.
Fragrance makes you
Yeah.
happy.
Yeah. My hyacinth isn't up yet. I don't know what's with that, but Raquel, how about you?
Hi everyone. This is the first time that I am here. So I am the director of the Elnavi Spaulding Conflict Resolution Center. And well, thank you for sending the link. And well, what brought me joy this week? I love sunsets, and yesterday we had it was a beautiful sunset. I took a picture, but that brings me joy. Yeah, just
Wonderful.
pleasure and yes.
Thank you for sharing that. Nancy?
Good afternoon, Dr. Boone.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. What brought joy to me this week was I was able to get up early in the morning and take a walk. So that brought joy, being able to breathe the morning breeze. It was good.
Thank you. Earl Boone, what brought you joy this week?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
What brought me joy today was the realization that I've had the pleasure of being married to Dr. Wanda Boone for 52 years.
Thank you.
That is awesome.
Didn't know he was going to say that.
And that's the best thing that has happened to me in my entire life.
Oh, Earl. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay.
Congratulations.
Oh my God. Thank you. Oh,
You're welcome.
wow. Okay, let me try to get myself together. Cammie, what brought you joy this week? Being here with my grandma. Oh, thank you. She didn't say that. Okay.
And my grandpa.
And my grandpa.
What brought me joy was
Cammy, you bring me joy every time I see you. I love you so much.
I love you
Oh,
too. But what brought me joy this week was how I made a lot of friends during the process of learning the songs and the dances to that we performed at my performance yesterday.
That's great. Thank you. Ooh. Um, Trisha. Oh, look at that. How did you do that, Natalia? Did you see what happened to her screen? See, we're all friends here. We're serious about this subject. But oh wow. Okay. Trisha.
Hello, everyone.
Hey.
It's my first time too. Thank you for sending that invite. Have me getting emotional for you, Dr. Boone. So my name is Trish Howard. I'm the lead nurse at Durham Public Schools. What brought me joy this week was actually today. I walked into a school. I was having a discussion with the front office lady, and she was knitting. She was knitting these small little caps. And I'm like, "What are you making?" And she said, she makes caps for premature babies at Duke NICU.
Mhm.
And she said she's taught young girls at this middle school how to make those hats as well. And they have like started, and I just got so emotional because then I was like, it's the little things like this that we need to remind us that there's still good people in the world and like good things are happening, even though we don't see it on social media every day. So
Oh,
that warmed my heart today.
that is so beautiful. Thank you. Woo. Mm. Thank you. Sonia, Terry, what brought you joy this week so far? I'm still. If you're trying to talk, Sonia, you're on mute.
Sonia says she's multitasking, but she
Oh,
said something in the chat.
I understand. Something is in the chat.
Yeah, she texted the chat.
Okay. Um, oh, multi-time was brought me joy this week was spending time with a former student at Wake Forest University. Isn't it wonderful when the young people that we work with, or just whomever it is, moves to some great process and that we had a part in that? I mean, that is awesome. Okay, Jordan, what brought you joy this week? Jordan. Okay, well, maybe she's multitasking too.
Hi. Sorry,
Oh,
I was trying to figure out how to get my sound on.
that's
What
okay.
brought me joy this week was seeing my little sister perform. I just saw little me up there when I used to sing and dance, and she's just so talented. And I'm just happy to be able to be a part of it and be able to witness her getting older and becoming herself. So that really brought me joy.
Mhm. Thank you. And of course, I remember your dancing and singing, and you were such a joy too. So thank you. Okay, family, I guess that's who we are with all this personal stuff. Okay, I am going to share my screen. I believe. Okay, hopefully this is the one, which you don't want to see all of that because some of these we're not going to look at. Oh, sorry. Okay. So one of the things that T.R.Y is involved in, and again, I apologize that we didn't have our meeting yesterday and we are here today, but I'm glad about that, is something that's called HEAL. It's a project that we've been working on that has to do with the prevention of violence. And so we're circling back just to inform you who are new and just give you an update about what that looks like. And also, when I sent the email out, I sent several videos that you were able to look at, review, and hear what young people are saying in terms of their mental health, what's happening in a school, and also gun violence. So for me, and I believe it's so important to talk about prevention And prevention, starts when young people are young. And sometimes we don't learn certain lessons when we have been growing up. And so this is just a review, and certainly I will stop if you have questions, and then we'll ask some questions of you at the end. Okay, so Together for Resilient Youth is a coalition. Well, you can read that. I don't have to read that to you. But what's important about this is that we do use the public health model to address underlying adverse experiences. And we believe in using a common agenda, like all of you that are on the Zoom have other things that you work on. There's certain other areas that are significant to you and of most interest. For the sake of the coalition and what we do in coalitions, in this coalition, we don't ask you to put that aside. But what we do ask is that when we are working on certain things, that you focus on those things and you share that agenda with us. Shared measurement is that we believe that data is so important. And even though we may see some things and we say, okay, well, this is really a problem, and we may choose to think about that in terms of working on it. But what's important is that we follow shared measurement. And even though something may come up, it may be a one-time thing where it comes up and we have to stay true to the data. And then mutually reinforcing activities means that we have different things that we share and that we do, and they may be different. So one person may choose to read to children at school, and that certainly is a benefit. That goes into the common agenda basket. Or we may mentor, or we may make bonnets for children that are in the NICU, so those things all lead to a benefit for children. And so we want everything to go in the basket so that we can report on the wonderful things that everybody is doing, not just T.R.Y. And then continuous communication. We can talk to each other outside of this one night a month. And so we want to make sure that we're informing everyone of the things that we're doing so that we can expand, do greater things, and be of more benefit to more young people. So I just wanted you to know that Living in Future Tense, which is our youth coalition, LIFT, is recognized statewide. So we are a certified provider of information and the things that we do. And so I think that's really important to know and understand, because there's certain things that have been identified at the state level as being really important in terms of speaking to young people about themselves in terms of health promotion. And so when we talk about what we do, I just want people to feel comfortable that we're doing that under the certification of North Carolina Prevention Education Standards. And so also under the county, and this doesn't have anything to do with funding. So, our son says, you don't do it for the money, you do it for the heart. And that may be true, but we need to think about money as well. But under resources for the county, they've listed us as a resource for young people, and we're excited about that. So stress, and not all stress is bad. There's some things that I won't go into on this call because we have young people under the age of 18, but stress is not all bad. We need stress, healthy stress, in order to get things done, because it helps us to perform better. Positive stress does elevate hormones that are good, so that if you have a test or a game or you need to swim like Natalia, then that positive stress will cause you to kind of move more quickly, but not in a way that will harm you. Tolerable stress happens like just at one time. It may be a natural disaster that you have, that you're in. And of course, when that happens, it goes away. So that's not the constant stress that's with you always, where you begin to be depressed or something like that. So that's toxic stress. And that's when it gets not good for us as human beings. And so it becomes embedded in deep belly fat, and it can cause some terrible things later on in life: heart disease, cancer, stroke, diabetes, COPD, broken bones, severe obesity, substance use, drug use, alcohol use, and even failure to work and keep a job. And so those are adverse childhood experiences. But research says that every child needs at least one adult who is irrationally crazy about him or her. And so, when I talk to young people and even people that are older, my question always is, do you have a one? And sometimes young people say they don't have a one. And then, I'll say, well, I'll be your one. But with Lyft, I believe that the connections that are made among peers are really strong. And when we give them the messages that will benefit them in terms of health education and understanding different things, and when they share that with other young people, then it becomes really powerful. And so resilience means it's a personal journey. I can't be resilient for anyone. We have to be resilient ourselves. And that comes from looking at 5 components: emotional fitness, physical fitness, spiritual fitness, family fitness, social fitness. And so we should seek to be resilient in all of those areas. And these are some of the things that you can do in order to do that. So let me ask a question. And my question is, how are you building resilience? And 3 people can answer, if you would, in any of these areas. What are you doing to build resilience?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I've been looking for a church. I was raised Catholic. My parents got divorced when I was like 17, and I stopped going to church then. So while I was raising my children, I went to a specific church and volunteered and did all those things, but that fell apart. And so I've been looking for a church. I've been to about 4 different churches in the last 2 months, and I think I might have found one. So that's what I'm looking for.
Well, great. Thanks for sharing that.
I'm
I
gonna
can
go
go.
next.
Okay, please.
I want to share that I've been working on my physical. I've been joining a lot of exercise classes, and it's been helping me a lot. So I've been enjoying it too very much.
Good. That's fantastic. And Kayla, did I see your box light up?
Yes. I was
Okay.
gonna say that I've been trying to meditate in the mornings just to help me relax throughout the day.
Mhm. Great. Thank you. And I said 3, but if there's somebody that has a burning desire to say something, please go ahead.
Dr. Boone, this is Trish. So I think for me, my first step is first recognizing or being mindful of the areas that I do need to work on, right? So just areas that I'm weaker in, and not even figuring out the first step is not like even starting to exercise, but recognizing that I need to exercise or I need to pray. So just being mindful that you do need to find healthy, I guess, coping mechanisms around these areas.
Thank you. Thank you. So one of the things that we can think about, because, when I think about it now, sometimes we don't take time to think, to pause, to think, to consider, to even look at these areas. I mean, we may be so frazzled in life or just overcome by so many things. I've said often it's like throwing confetti up in the air and then it just falls, you know. But we should, as many of you have said, what you're doing is to pause, to pause, to notice, and to choose what we will do. And the reason that this is so important is because when we are thinking about talking to other people about their lives, then we have to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves. And even in this presentation, we're going to see some things that could be stressful. And so we can just take a breath and realize that there is something that we can do about this for ourselves and for our children. So this is the first slide that really is significant. And that is that when we think about violence, and we're talking about young people, but when we're thinking about violence, then this is what the state has to say about violence statistics and where we land. So take, for example, if we want to consider some type of violence that you see here, one of the things that we may not think about is intimate partner violence that is due to homicides, the homicide rate. And so when we want to do all of these different things, we can't forget about intimate partner violence. Not all of this involves children, but there are many homes where children live where this violence exists. And so that's why, we may see intimate partner violence, but we also have to consider who is around, who witnesses this, who is involved, and what traumatic feelings arise because of that. And so when we look at this and think about prevention, well, we have to consider intimate partner violence as well. So, and this is another thing. High school students reporting gang activity at their schools. Okay, and so we see what the data says. And so since I haven't checked to see how many people may have joined at this point, but anyone who is in high school, if you can tell me whether you have seen gang activity in your school or not, if you feel comfortable saying that, I would like to hear your answer. Oh, Trisha, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So I was a high school nurse for 7 years before I became lead nurse. And I will say I did see gang activity, gang affiliation whenever there were fights that I intervened on. I mean, I got trained. I went to I think it was the health department that offered a training years ago on like recognizing when kids were gang affiliated, what questions you asked. And so that training kind of helped me in assessing what the cause of a fight was. And I was comfortable asking those questions, but I don't think like everybody would be comfortable, but I did see that.
Thank you. One other person want to speak to this? Well, I know that in the past, there are young people who witness gang activity. And at one school in particular, which I won't mention, but the principal of the school was afraid. He was afraid to report it. He was afraid of retaliation. And so, you know, we have to create, well, someone has to create a situation where this is spoken about, you know, openly in a trusted way so that there can be some intervention. Otherwise, things will stay the same. And then at what age do children associate with gang members or join a gang? So this also speaks to prevention. So when and what age, based on what you're seeing here, by what age do we need to intervene in someone who's involved in a gang?
ASAP, soon as they turn 8, I believe, if not even before. That's what I believe prevention means. And this is why I believe and trust so much T.R.Y, because we provide so much information to the community by preventing this situation secure to the next generation, and for us to leave a better example and a legacy, because it has been a lot of problems in a lot of schools and about kids not being in gangs, and from there utilizing guns and utilizing substance use. And I believe the younger, the better.
Thank you.
Because
oh, go
I
ahead.
do want to, because I wanted to add, because if we don't educate and prepare our kids, someone will do it out there. Either way, they will know. Either way, they will find out. So it'll be best if it comes from firsthand, someone trusted who cares about that child.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And Monique, hi, it's good to see you.
Good evening. I wanted to share that I agree, the younger, the better. I've come in contact with children as young as 7 and 8 years old. And because of their situations within the community, they are coming in contact with people that have gang affiliation. And these children are looking up to the behaviors that they see and want to be a part of. I can't tell you how many times I've seen children taking pictures and they're throwing up gang signs. I don't even know if they know what they're doing, but they're doing it. And, you know, slowly, if we're not as impressive with the young people, that other side is going to take over.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I would like to add that younger is better. The younger that they are aware of it, not when they are like starting to be in a gang, but when you let them know and let them know that this thing exists, and let them know that gangs exist, let them know that before they're even integrated into one, that they know about it and how to stay away from it. I know Lyft, which is a part of T.R.Y, does a really good job of educating kids and advocating for their own safety and for our own way to navigate through peer pressure. That's a really big thing that I remember about Lyft and T.R.Y is how to stand up for yourself against peer pressure, because I might myself not have been like associated or know anyone of a gang, but I can see reports, I can see stats, I can see things that peer pressure goes like, and intimidation is a really big thing that goes a part of it. They want to intimidate you into joining their side so they can have like an army against another side, and it causes more violence. So standing up for yourself, even though it might be scary, is the best thing for these younger people to learn.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So yes, you know, if we start talking at 11 years old, it's almost, I won't say too late, but it's a real problem. And so And then being relevant to young people, peer-to-peer works best. And so that's why we instruct young people on what the truth is, and then they know what the truth is, so that when someone tells a different story, they know what to truly believe. Our young people take a message and they make it their own, which, seals that message in their own heart because they created something around the message from the CDC. And then they share it with others and also in school, and that's for 9 to 17-year-olds. Okay, so this is the reason that we pay attention to what's happening with Black youth, which is not to negate what's happening with other youth. But you see here in this terrible chart that Hispanic young people seem to have a lesser degree of suicide attempts, lesser number. And then white young people are pretty protected. But then for the first time in the history of this survey, we see that 45% of Black children have considered suicide, 43.5% made a plan, and 47.5% attempted suicide for children who are in middle school. And then if you look at high school, the numbers pretty much stay the same in terms of Black African American high school students. And then you see the statistics for Hispanic students and white students. This is why I said some of this information is difficult to see, and it's hard to fathom because since 2007, when I started looking at and addressing suicide, I have never, ever, ever, ever seen numbers like this.
So Wanda, is this Durham?
This is Durham.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. So, and let me just say, out of the children that took the Youth Risk Behavior Survey, which are over 1,000, maybe two, I don't know how many thousand, I can look that up for you, but it doesn't matter. Every child and every loss is horrific. No one should be in a space where they even consider suicide. And I could go on and on and on and on about, what I have attempted to say and do in this space. For those of you who have been on this call since September, October, you know that we have the resolution about Black teens in crisis. And I'll share a little bit more about that. Does anybody want to speak to this?
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
And it's heartbreaking.
I do want to say one thing about it.
Yeah.
As I definitely do want to be transparent. As someone who is surrounded by people in high school all the time, and it's all different types of people because I try to open myself up to everybody. There's this thing that people of Gen Z do a lot and say, and I feel like we have normalized it in a way of like, oh, our generation is fleeting. All of these terrible things are happening in our generation, and we only know terrible things. And the thing that I see
Say
a lot
more
of
about
high
that.
school,
Wait, what do you say a little bit more about that, please? About all bad things. you know, you
Like
just
all bad, like a lot of like it's like kids right now are desensitized to terrible things that are happening, like war, uh, the economy being bad, school shootings, police brutality. And something that I noticed that a lot of students say is like they're gonna go off themselves, like as a joke all
Hmm.
the time. Like, oh, if I don't get this test done or if I don't pass this grade, I'm gonna off myself or I'm gonna like and they say it as like a joke or they say go off yourself all the time. And it's like as a coping mechanism, they use it as humor, but some of them really mean it. And
Yeah.
some of these students really truly do want to do that. And some people are saying this as humor. And that's just at this point of Gen Z is what they've come to. Like they use like they kid with they kid around with the thought of death a lot. That is a really big thing all the time. Like, I don't care. They're like, seriously, I've heard people say, I don't care if, like I get into a car crash later or if I make it to my destination. They say it as a joke, but half the time they use this humor as a coping mechanism to ignore how they actually feel.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a really big thing. It's everybody too. Like, it's a lot of people, it's a lot of students. And it's a really tough thing to see all the time because it's like, when are you okay?
Mm-hmm.
But it's like too many students to know if like do you actually mean that or are you kidding?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I
So
just wanted
yeah, thank you. Thank you for saying that. So um I know that in Lyft there were some people that felt really lost and didn't think that they were going to make it. And so um I believe that the community that exists in Lyft really helps young people to stay afloat. And I, you know, I I want schools to be lifters, you know. Um, but just to let you know, and you've heard me say before that when I was a teenager, I was asked to go around the state of New Jersey to talk about police brutality. I was in high school, and that was the subject then. And so it's been going on for generations. And you know, and I think that there are not enough people, in my opinion, hearing what young people are saying. Just like you were able to share all of that, you know, there are not that many opportunities to do that. And sometimes, like for all of us, sometimes we just have to let it out and you know, be a community and family together in a safe and trusted space, where we as adults and you as young people feel safe enough, you know, to say something like that and not have somebody say, don't say that, don't say that, everything is fine. You need to just make sure that everybody knows it's fine, and it's not fine. So thank you. Thank you. And that's why you're a Lyft leader too, by the way, coordinator. Um, and so there are, thank you so much. Yes, Brittany.
Well, that goes to say that we have so many different eras of generations, and like my mom grew up in that era where kids were not kids were seen but not heard. So then now like the older generation that was really not seen and not heard at all, they're like, oh, these kids are grown, and which, some of them, have a lack of disrespect, but if you there's boundaries to everything. So I want to hear my child and what they have to say, what their thoughts are, and or any child that for that matter, and what they're thinking. But also, we have to respect each other. Some parents have this thing where you give me respect. I don't have to give you any respect, but you have to, it goes both ways. And then that's a better relationship. So our children need to be seen, heard, and understanding respect and not fear. You know, the difference.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Mm. And so the other thing that's happened with young people, oh, I'm sorry, Monique.
Hi. What I wanted to say is I think it's important to piggyback on what the young lady just said, quantify emotions that kids exhibit. I agree. A long time ago, it was you're seen, but you're not heard. You don't have an opinion. We don't want to hear what you have to say. But that, it kind of puts a damper on that line of communication that needs to remain open. So it's important to, if someone does share a feeling or an ideation that they want to, hurt themselves, let's take a minute out of our day and sit down and talk with that child and kind of investigate where they are with whatever's causing that, that feeling. Because we don't know if someone would act on it or not. And we want to be proactive in our approach.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is so true. I remember when I was teaching at an alternative school in Pittsburgh, and those children cussed me out the first day. I mean, like using words that old people use. And I'm like, and so when I came home, I said, Earl, I've never been spoken to like that before. I was so upset. And but I went back. I went back and I was just myself. And so I said, the first thing that I said was, this is your classroom and you will have respect. I'll hear what you have to say. You hear what I have to say. But I'm not going to curse you. So don't you curse me. And I am telling you, it was such a remarkable situation. They were thrown out of their home high school. And so they were in the alternative school. And they were failing, making F's, E's and F's starting in February. And then by May, they were making A's and B's and going back to their home schools. And I still hear from some of them now. But the point that I wanted to make is that one young man, it was a Friday, he was leaving, and I just said to him, I said, I look forward to seeing you on Monday. And he just stared at me for a long time. And he just shook his head, yeah, kind of, and then went home. On Monday, he came back and he said that he had planned to kill himself over the weekend. And so what we have to understand is that connection. We have to connect to people, not just young people. We need to connect to everybody because we're all in this mix together. And sometimes we just need a friendly word, something, some comfort and compassion. So the thing that's happening with Black students, it seems to be, according to the research that's been done around this issue of Black children and suicide, has to do with racial inequities. And you can see what's here on the screen. And even toxic stress comes from racism at an early age. And so that has to be nipped in the bud. What we need to do is 1 in 5 middle schoolers and 1 in 4 high schoolers felt they were treated badly or unfairly because of their race or ethnicity, either sometimes, most of the time, or always. And this is from the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. So this is what young people are saying. And if young people are saying this, then we have to respond to what young people are saying. Cammie, have you ever experienced racism or treated differently because you're Black?
No, not really, but so a few weeks ago, I was doing a project. I had to come back to my teacher's classroom for lunch so me and my friends could finish our project together. And there were these two white boys who came in and they came to do their work. But the entire time, me and my friends were doing our work, but they weren't. They were just making jokes. And we were still in Black History Month. And so they were just making jokes just about us. And the people who I was working with were Black. And so it really, I felt really disrespected. And because you're also saying this stuff during a month that you're supposed to like honor people.
Wow. Yeah, and so it's questions like that. And parents, grandparents, adults need to take time to hear that. Now, I didn't ask Cammie about that before. I just sprung it on her. And so we see what's happening, and it happened with her. Natalia.
First, Cammie, I'd like to say thank you for sharing that. Two, do you need me to go talk to some people? I would love to have a conversation with these two young men, boys. Other than that, I love you, Cammie. You're beautiful and you're special, and I hope you know that. But something I will share is that I know it's been racism has happened since before all of us have been here. And among my own experience, I will say that the main thing that got me through that, especially when I was like in elementary school, I used to live somewhere where it was very conservative, and I especially had severe ADHD growing up. Not severe, but like it was evident that I was a very hyperactive kid. But the thing is, they never really got that point. They just said, because she's one of the only ones around here that's of that color, that's the reason she's acting like that. And they would put me in different groups, or they would treat me differently, or they would speak to me like I was slow. Like, oh, this is a book. You know what this is, right? Things like that. But the main thing that got me through it was, in fact, my adversity that was there, like my ADHD. I would pay attention to something else, even though they clearly wanted me to know what they thought of me. But the main thing that made me resilient was not act, and I still have this even since then, not caring what they thought, because my mom had always taught me to always never let anyone make me feel like I never belonged there. I belong in every room that I step into. And because of my mom and her implementing that, and along with Try helping me implement that even more, since a younger age, since I was like, even before I even started elementary school, she said that every room I walk into, do not let anyone make me feel like I did not belong there. And if they had a problem with it, they could talk to her. So
oh, good. Thank you. Wow.
I want adults to know and let their kids know, not any kid know, that every room they walk into, they belong there. I plan on telling other kids that too.
Yes, absolutely. We need to do that for the tip. Brittany and then Jordan.
I just wanted to say, when I was younger, I wasn't born here. I was born in Virginia, and the side of town I lived on, you know, it was very, well, the school I went to, it was just, all Caucasian, people, and it was only, I want to say, about 3 of my color, African American people going to that school. It was one I actually remember. It was one other boy who was my color, and then like a staff member. And it was a lot of Caucasian teachers. Now, my teacher, I feel like she always graded me down. And what I mean by that, I did this beautiful project, me and my mom together. Now, being in elementary school, she said that your parents couldn't help you. But it was a big project, and my mom helped me, and it was a great project. But she gave me a B. She decided to give me a B on it, and she wrote up there, I said, no parents helping. And I was like, how else? I'm an elementary student, you know, and I wanted to do my best. I always wanted to do my best, whatever I did. And you know, so I just took it. But I just feel like sometimes it's like, why do you see something else? Like, why do you see something else? Why don't you just see me, as in me trying to give you the information back that you taught me, and how I how I presented it to you, and that's it. It wasn't like, it wasn't any, and it's really hard being in a, not seeing your color a lot in a environment that you're at so many hours of the day, and you're treated differently, and that's all I had to say.
Okay, thank you so much, Brittany. Jordan?
I just wanted to speak really quickly from like alternate perspective, because luckily they're so smart and they had so much self-worth that they were able to, you know, disregard a lot of the things that they were dealing with. When I lived in Georgia, I was the only Black girl in my elementary school. Unfortunately for me, I didn't really, my parents at the time, well, I didn't tell them, for one, a lot of the things that I were dealing with at school. But for instance, they sent a note home saying that I had to take the beads out of my hair because they were a disruption in class. I was always isolated, always separated. They wouldn't let me do the talent show because my song wasn't what they felt like should be sung. I constantly dealt with that. And I just want you to know, like, it's very important to stop it young, because I still struggle with it today. I'm still healing. I'm still learning to love my hair. I'm still learning to love myself because I'm healing stuff that was messed up back then. So I just wanted to come from an alternate perspective and say it's very important to watch it young, because it can manifest into a lot of things later in life that I know I'm still working on now. Just as far as I know, my problem was being accepted, and being a people pleaser is something that I'm still working on to this day. I want everybody to like me. I want everybody to, and as you guys know, being an adult, that's not always so easy. So yeah, I definitely feel like that is something that is very important that gets overlooked, and it does impact kids a lot.
Thank you so much. So, in this conversation, what have you as adults, if one or two people would say, what, and Angie, you are an adult. Are you taking away from what you've heard, what you've seen in this slide, and what you've heard from the young people that have responded? What is one takeaway that you have?
I would say, hello everybody.
Hey.
I would say to be more present. I guess sometimes life as an adult just happens and you're busy with work or just task, and you're tired after work and things like that. I have two younger sisters, and I still live with my parents, so it's easier because I'm here, but sometimes I'm tired. And so sometimes I just don't, you know, ask them like, hey, how your day was, or just kind of be like, hey, like, just check up on them. So I feel like to be more present and what they're doing, and just asking them, how was your day, or whatever it is, because even that simple question, or the simple moments um of being with somebody, even if it's not talking either, it's just like your presence in that moment, I feel like it's just valuable. So I feel like just having that space, or allowing that space for somebody else, or just you know having a time to check in with them, I think that is something that I wish to incorporate more. And also I think it's important, because if you don't ask, you won't know. And just from seeing all that we've just talked about, I feel like it's just a little bit more about being present and just listening, and just be like, hey, like I'm here for you kind of conversation. So I think that that's something I'll take away and do it as well.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, we're going to move along. I think we could be here for a couple of hours, but I won't do that, even though I really am enjoying and feel strongly and appreciate everything that we've heard and seen this evening. So in terms of mental health and self-esteem, Black or African Americans were more likely to report strongly agreeing that, let me move this out of the way, that they feel good about themselves. So that's a good thing. Black or African American and white students reported disagreeing equally. So, you know, Black or African Americans were over 5 times as likely to report strongly agreeing that they feel good about themselves. And so that conflicts with the data that we see about young people having suicidal ideation. And, you know, do you feel good about yourself? Yeah, I feel good about myself. And so, yes, there is more of a conversation that needs to happen. Mental health depression, 1 in 3 middle schoolers and 2 in 5 high schoolers experience symptoms of depression as defined by the American Psychiatric Association. Black or African American high school students were over twice as likely to report symptoms of depression than their white peers. I'm moving along a little quickly and I apologize. And so depression, what does that look like? And how might it be received by a parent or a grandparent or another caregiver? I told you to get out of bed. Why aren't you up yet? You're supposed to get up when I tell you to get up, not realizing that they may be in bed because they're depressed. And I think if we had more conversations with young people, instead of barking instructions all the time, then we might find out that children are really sad, disappointed, don't find a way to bounce back from some situations that we, even as adults, find hard to bounce back from. We want to spend a day in bed. So, Raquel, please, I see your hand up.
Thank you. We work with children who we provide like a space for truancy mediation, and we work with a lot of kids who are not at, they don't want to come to school, and sometimes it's seen as something as it's a behavioral issue, but sometimes it's an emotional issue. Sometimes it's because, as you say, they are depressed. Sometimes they have been bullied. So, and it's sometimes in those type of sessions, that's when we find out things about the kid. And when we bring the parents and we sometimes the student, when they are old enough, that's when we find out those things. So it's important, yes, as you said, that just to ask those questions and to pay attention. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate that. Mental health bad days. I think we can pretty much see where we're going with this. Because, and we're digging deeper into why this is happening with young people. And the reason that you see in these cases, Black, African American, or white is because the statistics were too low to identify. It's not that they didn't leave Hispanic young people out, but in the numbers that were, that people answered the survey, out of that, there were too few. And maybe, well, I won't interject anything else, but that's why you don't see that data there. Very briefly, but it's also been very long so far, so I don't know why I said briefly, but homicide and aggravated assault. Who would have thought that not gang member involved would be more homicides or aggravated assaults, not a gang member represented more than gang members? Because we tend to believe that we have a gang problem in Durham. There are gangs in Durham. There are gangs everywhere across the nation, but homicides and aggravated assaults are seen more among not gang member involved. So while we're talking about Black young people, we need to understand and address this as a whole child issue. I mean, everybody issue. Everybody needs the information. Everybody needs to understand how to relate to each other. Everybody needs to understand how to stop for a moment, reflect on what we're hearing and seeing, and responding to all children with the same kind of love and respect. In terms of substance use, and these are individuals that were in gangs that answered this question. They said that they use weed mostly. And the only reason that I'm looping gang members into this conversation is because of the prevalence of ACEs, the prevalence of uses of substances, and marijuana is not it's illegal, first of all, but more violent crimes are conducted when people are high on alcohol. So alcohol is the root cause, if you will, of the most violent crimes. The Sheriff's Department reported that 90% of youth that were taken into custody were high on alcohol alone or alcohol and marijuana. So alcohol and children don't mix, and that is an important message as well. A good thing is that 60% of students report strongly or agreeing that they felt they belonged at school. And so with all the bad things that we think are going on at school, there's a large majority, and these are the same students. You know, keep in mind, these are the same students that are being surveyed. They felt that they belonged at school. Well, is that because something is happening at home that we don't know about? And they find school to be a safe haven for them, or at least less destructive than what's happening at home. And so these are things that we need to consider. Personal safety. I'm just going to mention this one thing. Okay. These statistics say that it would take not too long to find a gun. Many of them said that they could get and be ready to fire a loaded gun in less than 10 minutes. And so then when we rewind or rework that, so the question, in my opinion, to law enforcement is, where are kids getting guns? Who's not locking their guns up? You know, and so this is why this is a comprehensive prevention method that we have to look at. So it's not just, okay, let's just say no to everything and lock your child up until they turn 25. I mean, that's not going to happen. And so we have to pick these things apart, identify what the data really says, and then begin to address what's going on. We've talked about that. And so in almost closing, these are the programs that T.R.Y has available: Living in Future Tense, Change Your Words, Change Your World, Resilient Together, Champions of Change, Coping Together. Coping Together is the family prevention method that we have. It's beautiful. So families meet together, young people and their parent, and sit with each other over Zoom with other families that are on the Zoom and talk about communication, doing vision boards together, all kinds of things like that. And they learn how to really communicate and be what they should be as a family. And one of the things that we notice is that parents don't take time or are of a generation when you really don't talk to your children. You just tell them what they do, make sure they brush their teeth and take a shower and get in the bed and get up. But it should be more meaningful than that. Lastly, this is the Teen Violence Mental Health Black Youth in Crisis resolution. And I'm not going to read it to you. I'll send it out again over email, because this is one thing that, and you see the date. So it's gone to the city, the county, the Board of Education, so they have it in their hands. They wanted a couple of words tweaked, which is fine. It's not a problem at all. And so it's on the schedule. There have been so many things that are happening in Durham Public Schools and elsewhere until it's going to take a little time before it's done. But I'll send it back out to everybody. So this is the last thing, really the last thing. So what are the strategies that can be used to prevent youth violence? And we've seen it here. Thank you for your comments. Promote family environments that support healthy development, like coping together, or like Raquel's program that she has, providing quality education early in life, strengthening youth skills. I'm happy to report today that we have a whole youth skills set that we're providing through LIFT. Connect youth to caring adults and activities. Create protective community environments. Intervene to lessen harms and prevent future risks. So what does that mean in terms of violence exposures? We know in some communities, there are gunshots that go off almost every night. And so what can we do as a community or a parent or a resident in that neighborhood? It's happening more and more and more all over Durham, at least the gunshots I'm saying. And so I'm not here to answer that question tonight, or for people who live in communities where it's experienced more. I want to hear from individuals that live in violence-prone areas and census tracts. One of the things that we did during our Health Ambassador program was to point out the areas in Durham that have less than other neighborhoods do. So it's not the people, it's the environment. And we tend to look at people as the problem, or, okay, so you live there, why don't you do something about it? What can you can't make anything out of what you don't have. And so we need to hear from people and then develop based on what they want, what would be most beneficial to them. And this is too long to get into, but the purpose of this whole thing that we do in terms of the public health model is to ensure that we have health and resilient communities for all children and families. So with that, I will close. And I think some of the people on this call could tell me what Ubuntu is by heart. But it's a story. Oh, this is 11:23. This is a story about a community somewhere where the archaeologist had been in the area for a long time and he was leaving. And so he wanted to give a gift to the children. And so he had a basket of fruit and he went and he said, he put it way down by a tree and he said, if one of you can get to the basket of fruit first, then you can have the whole basket of fruit. So when I say 1, 2, 3, run to the basket, and whoever gets there first gets the whole basket of fruit. So he said 1, 2, 3, and they all joined hands and ran together to the basket, sat down together and ate the fruit together. You know how many times I've told this story, and it makes me cry every single time. And so the archaeologist said, well, why did you hold hands and run together? One of you could have had the whole basket for yourselves. And a little girl looked up at him and said, how could one of us be happy and the rest of us be sad? So we are a community together that will reap the benefits of the basket together by all the things that we do together and create together to make a resilient community. So thank you so much. Please, if you have anything else that you would like to say, please let me know. And the prevention tips that we have for young people are created by Angie Mahia. Raise your hand, Angie. And they go out to youth every month, and then they're able to make it their own, either poetry or singing or those kinds of things. Okay, I will really stop talking now. Does anybody have anything else to share? Go ahead, Mindy. Yes, Mindy, yes.
Yes, real quick, we're offering a free CPR training for kids 12 and up, young people, older people, at the Lion Park Community Center, Saturday, March 9th. We're trying to engage the youth. So I wish I had your contacts because, yeah, we can take up to 30 people, and the Durham County Public Health Department is doing the training. It will only take an hour. It's the non-contact or non,
Yeah.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not kissing somebody, having to mouth, but it is doing the compressions. And then we're also doing a community resource fair. So I speak for PAC 3 when I'm saying we're doing this. We're going to put on a community resource fair June 8th in Lion Park Gym. And again, this will be targeted to 12 years old and up. We're inviting young people to come, and we would love to try to have a table and be one of the resources that the kids and families can go to during the 2 hours, June 8th from 10 to 12. So Wanda, I'll get back to you on that, but it would be wonderful if T.R.Y could have youth there or a table there and just be able to interact with the people who attend in the community.
And I can send the information out to more, to everybody, because there are more youth than we see here, although I appreciate every one of you. So yes, we'd be happy to participate. Oh, kids notes was mentioned.
I just want to say I was glad to be back. We
Me
finally on some meetings.
good,
So, you know, my life has gotten a little less hectic because I used to have to go to Greensboro a lot for my mom and take her to stuff. But, you know, she's at peace. And so I'm feeling good about that. But now it gives me a chance to kind of get back and do some more things that was taking a lot of time. But anyway, I enjoyed it, and I did look at all of those videos before the meeting. I did each one. Okay.
Okay. All right. Anyone else? Well, thank you all for being here on an evening when we're tired and woo, it's been a long day, but I wish you peace and joy and love. So see you next time. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.
Thank you.